Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today on selling SEO. This is Chad Hill, and I also have Adam Stetzer on the phone.
Hey, everybody. I'm here too, manning your questions as always.
Great. So I think everyone who's been here before knows the drill. Adam will man the questions. There's a console to ask questions, and we will go slow through the presentation and answer questions along the way. Okay, so today we wanted to talk about selling SEO, and this is we did this webinar back in February, and I think it was a really good discussion, both from going through some of the content we have as well as a lot of the questions that were asked. And we wanted to go back and re-record this with the new screenshots and also some updated things that we've done since February. So we're looking forward to the discussion today. The funnel, this is something that I think all of us in our business talk about quite a bit. What we've done is talked about here the funnel that we see going into actually selling SEO, and specifically selling it with the HubShout solution and software. So of course at the top of that funnel is lead generation, and we'll talk about ways that you can do it when you're small and ways that you can do it when you're a little bigger. In most cases, those leads ultimately will at some point touch your website, and the goal is to get them to touch your website, visit it maybe once, maybe a few times, but ultimately to follow a call to action and to actually talk to you. We heavily rely on that point, once there's a call to action, to use that contact to set up a demo and actually talk to and use that first contact and meeting to walk our prospects through a demo of the software. I think many of you probably went through that demo when you contacted us about working with us and using our software and reselling services. So that's something that we really believe is really important and something that all of you should be doing in your sales funnel. That, of course, leads through to proposals and ultimately to a close. Now, all along the way, it's critical to have a program in place for following up, whether that be with some automated autoresponders earlier at the top of the funnel, as well as later on more personal follow-up and making sure that you stay in touch with people as they're making a decision.
Chad, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but at least one participant's having trouble seeing your screen. I just want to make sure if anyone else is having trouble, please type into your chat window so we know. And for the one guy who's having trouble, this recording will be available tomorrow, usually by about noon. So if you can't get it to work, you can watch it tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, I move to the next slide. So again, depending on where you are in the business in selling SEO, you might be looking for your first client, or you may already be well past your first client. But I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about, for those of you who are just getting started, some ideas for how you get those first 10 clients. And early on in HubShout, before actually Adam and I started HubShout, I had a small marketing services firm, and I relied heavily on these type of tactics to build my early set of clients. And it's the ones we all know, which are primarily your personal network. And your personal network, in most cases, for most of us, either through our working in the marketing and sales industry, or just civic involvement, as well as working with maybe friends of yours, or other parents of your children's kids. All of us have a personal network that we can tap into. And I think if we're not shy about talking about what we're doing, that often will lead to your first 10. So the way to start that, to get it started though, is to build a contact list of all of your personal contacts, and send out a newsletter announcing your new business, and follow up with emails. I know, for example, when I did that, when I first started a marketing services firm, that out of that initial email just announcing what I was doing, I actually probably got my second and third client out of that first email that went out. You want to follow it up with, of course, the hand-to-hand, the face-to-face networking through lunches and networking events. And all of this can be done with, again, little to no marketing spend. This is primarily just effort and focusing in on people you know, and putting telling them what you're doing. And people generally want to help new companies and entrepreneurs be successful, so they're willing to help you find those first few clients and customers.
Yeah, Chad, I think you got some really interesting points on this slide here. I think the one thing you mentioned that we just probably should hit pretty hard is just that fearless self-promotion, because I think that is probably a barrier for a lot of folks at this stage who are using their network, and it's really critical. You got to believe in what you're doing, but you also just got to not be shy, as Chad said, and everyone's read successful entrepreneurs are those that are pretty much relentless in their ability to go out and promote and broadcast the image and the success that people are going to want to get to know and buy services from.
Good point. And one of the things that one of our resellers works once put in his newsletter, so I borrowed from a newsletter that I got from him, is that he talks about following this 4-3-2-1 rule for referrals. And that is pretty much that you need to make 4 calls a day, write 3 notes a week, hold 2 meetings a week, and attend 1 event a week. And I can guarantee that if you do that, which honestly is not that hard, if you follow the 4-3-2-1 rule, you will be able to find your first 10 customers. And I think obviously these are all connected, because part of the ability to make 4 calls a day is that you've gone out and been to networking events, and you've been able to kind of build your inventory of cards or people that you talk to, which then in turn you can make calls to, ask for referrals, and continue that process. So again, some of this stuff is not comfortable, as Adam said, but if you're in this and you want to be successful, you really have to get out there and make yourself, spread the word and make yourself known that you're providing services and online marketing or whatever other services that you might be providing.
And Chad, it's interesting. It's both not hard and it is hard. And I love this 4-3-2-1 slide. I mean, we talked about it in our webinar in the spring when we were talking about sales tactics. It's not hard in that everyone probably looks at it and goes, yeah, sure, that makes a lot of sense. And probably for some of the guys on the phone who are a little further along, you're thinking this is old hat. But I know for a lot of guys at the very beginning phases, if they just did this, and I want to second what Chad said, I would guarantee success. If you did this, and it means doing it for a fair amount of time, and that's where I see most people fail. So to me, it's not hard to do this for a week or 2. It is hard to do it for 6 or 12 months very consistently, but if you do, I guarantee success, because these numbers add up. And these events, I don't think are that hard to find in most cities. They're out there and they're advertised, and they want your attendance. So if you go there with the attitude that we've talked about promoting yourself and being ready to talk about your services, and then have the follow-up in place, I think Chad's 100% right. You will have success, and people have gone real far with this methodology.
Right. So we have a couple tools that we can use to help you with that. First of all of you should be getting our monthly newsletter content, our monthly newsletter that is going out as search news, that for those of you with clients, that goes out private labeled with your brand, with some monthly search tips. So that same information could be pulled out from that newsletter and used for your own marketing newsletter. Again, these are just the latest trends in news and search engine marketing, social media. So it's all very timely, good content. And this is the kind of stuff that, and again, I think I've mentioned this in previous webinars, when we send out this content to our list, I would say inevitably once a month, or at least 1 or 2 people a month reply back and say, hey, you've mentioned social media a couple times. I really need to talk to you about that. Or, yeah, we've been talking about adding email marketing in. Let's get going on that. So there's always somebody who they're at the right point where, whether it was just their boss walked in and said, what are we doing with social media? Or whether it's that they read something the night before in the paper on the news and they're saying, I got to figure this out. Your newsletter comes out the next morning. They're ready to talk. They're going to pick up the phone and talk to you or reply back to that email. So it's just a matter of consistency. We're giving you the content. All you have to do is package it up and send it out. And in fact, with some of the new features we're going to be talking about in the next webinar, you can now do that on our platform. So you can manage a list. We have templates that you can now use for email marketing, and you can handle all of this right from within our system. So this is something that's easy to do. You just need to feed the contacts in, and away you go. The third point here is that we also have developed autoresponder content, so that you can program an autoresponder to people that maybe after you have that meeting or that phone call with, you plug them into an autoresponder, and they get a little bit more targeted content around how specifically you can help them with search engine optimization or one of the other marketing services that you can offer to your client through us. So these are tools that are available to you. You need to talk to your account managers, but they can help you build some of this into your plan. And again, we're doing this because if you're successful selling, that means we're successful delivering services. We're both happy. So we really want to do whatever we can to help out with this type of lead generation activity.
Yeah, Chad, it's really hard to look at these bullet points and not talk about the content for 2 weeks from now, isn't it? But we're really excited internally because we've been doing a lot of internal training on stuff we're going to be showing you in 2 weeks directly related to this. I think you'll be real pleased.
Yeah. Okay, so that gets you to the first 10, and then beyond 10, that's where you need to start thinking about how you can scale. So of course, the first one on our item here is search engine optimization. And there really are two things that we've seen across our reseller community people doing. One is having an industry niche. So that might be that you have decided that you're going to build websites and do SEO for car dealers. And so terms like car dealer SEO are very attractive. The other way that we've seen people going is on a geographic niche. So, I'm going to dominate in Atlanta. I'm going to be out at every conference trying to get my name plastered across any event that might have to do with SEO, and I'm going to own this area. And we've had people in the past ask us, well, which one's better? And I don't think there's one answer to that because we have both. We have people that have been very successful dominating a market, and we've also had people very successful, dominating a niche. So, but search engine optimization is a great way, of course, to go into either of those areas. Another one that we found, very successful in many ways is what we're doing with you as resellers, are partnerships. So there are agencies, associations, and various other people that have existing client bases, and they're looking to offer new services to their clients, either because it will help them do better in their business. If you're an association and you want to improve the position of your chapter members, that's one thing. Certainly agencies, especially in this day and age when there are so many different specializations out there, agencies will often be experts in print media but have a nice little client roster, and they'll want to have a partner that can help them provide the online marketing services that maybe they're not as good at providing. So those are also great opportunities. And again, some of the partnerships can be developed out of the networking. You'll be at a networking event, and inevitably you'll end up talking to another agency person, and there may be opportunities to jump in or go in on a proposal. Some other things, conferences. Now, these generally are expensive, but they often are very targeted. So if you go back to the car dealer SEO idea, there are conferences probably throughout the year where where things talk about car dealer marketing. And so if you can go to a conference either as an exhibitor or as just an attendee, you'll have an opportunity to get in front of people who might be decision makers. People that are creative can often get on panels if you have the sort of the right industry credibility, which is a free way to get into these conferences, or in some cases you may be able to get invited by a friend who works at a dealer and has an extra pass. So conferences are good. Certainly, in our experience, they're like I said, they're expensive, but there's a reason they're expensive. You don't really get too many chances when such a concentrated group of your target audience is in the same place. Cold calling, just going to say brutal, but it can work. And I think some of you have grown up doing cold calling, and and know how to make it work, and other people just it scares the heck out of them, and would probably should focus on some of these other ideas. Paid search generally, we've seen a pretty low conversion rate for search engine optimization services. I think that's because when people are looking for someone to help them with search optimization, they're, or at least our theory is they're looking in the organic rankings, not in the paid rankings. So it's been low on the SEO side, and as you all know, the competition just in paid search in general is fierce in the online marketing space. So it's hard to make that work unless you just have a killer call to action that gets a really high conversion rate. And then the final one here is lead generation services, and we've tried them. We find that there's just a lot of junk in there, and it actually takes so much time just to weed through the junk that it's almost not worth it. It's better to focus on other sources. But again, I know there are some people in the community here that have actually found that it does work and have found good sources, and I'm sure those are fiercely guarded secrets, but we've been told that there are some good lead generation services out there. We have not been able to find them. They've always been pretty junky.
Yeah, and whichever of these avenues you decide to pursue, I would just urge you to be very, very analytical. We were talking earlier about being very courageous in your self-promotion. When it comes to looking at these different channels for lead generation beyond those first 10, you kind of have to switch gears a bit and just become very analytical and keep track of what you're spending and what you're getting in return. Make sure you're running any one test in one of these directions long enough to really try it out, because I think that's a problem we've certainly had at Chad, just turning things off before we've really had a full test. But then on the flip side, after it's run for a while, to really have the data to go, well, this just isn't working and isn't going to be a good avenue for us.
Right, and the trick with that is there's always something you can do better. So you have to be able to sort of draw that line to say, was this a good enough test? So having discipline not to launch a test until you have the program in place as you really would do it for a client, but then at the same time also realizing that there's always ways to optimize, but is the test a good enough one?
Yeah, you're making me laugh. I mean, how many times have we had that argument where I'm saying, that just is a failure, and you're saying, well, we just didn't do it quite.
I know.
So, your point's well taken, and it is hard, guys. And you just need to find your way through it. But
right.
Make sure you got the numbers and do the best you can.
Right, everyone's getting a little hub shout banter on our own marketing approach. So a couple tools that we have. Again, these are pretty much the same as before. We have content we're producing. We do have the email marketing platform that you can use. Of course, you can use your own, use our services for an SEO campaign. I think I mentioned that again in a slide here, so that is a shameless plug. But we do it on our own campaign, or we do it for our own SEO, and so it's important to sort of practice what you preach. And then again, we have the autoresponder content that all of you can. That all of you will have access to, and we're going to talk more about, especially in our webinar coming up in a couple weeks. Okay, so I mentioned this before, but do you practice what you preach, and what does your web presence look like? I've seen some very attractive sites of our various resellers, and I've seen some less than attractive sites. So, and I don't know exactly where we fit in that range. I like to think our site's attractive, but I've seen better sites, and I've certainly seen worse sites. So. You want an attractive site. You want to really go for the rankings on the terms so that you have something to talk about. So I think we've heard that many times. But when people say, "Hey, do your services work?" we want to be able to point right to the rankings. We often use Vet Hubs as an example, but we want to go to Vet Hubs and say, "Hey, look, we applied the program to Vet Hubs on these terms, and look where it's ranked. It's ranked in one of the top spots or top 2 spots." So that's something that's important. Video is something new that we're doing. I think when we talked about this in February, we had a couple videos on the site. They were homegrown ones that that mostly I produced myself on my computer. We've revamped all of our video. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at them, but we went into a studio. Actually, one of our resellers is in the local area, and it is a video production company, and we worked with them and came up with some, I think, really great videos our goal in this was really just to take the production quality up a notch. We found ourselves that many of you, when you call in, that you already understand a lot about what we're doing and about the company and about our product. And so we found that it's just a great way that when people call us, they're already sort of warmed up and know what kind of questions they have, and they've already had some exposure to what we do. And so our goal with the videos that we've recently launched on our website was just to take that up a notch, add a little bit more personal touch, some faces from the company, and then have a better demo of some of the screens and the software. So that's something that we just launched, and we're really excited to kind of, as Adam said, track and see what we can do with conversion rate by adding better videos to the site. Of course, you want a strong call to action. So, again, we talk a lot about, actually, I'd say our call to action is presented clearly, but it's for the most part, do you need more information, give us a call or fill out a lead form. It's a pretty basic one, but it tends to work for us. You have to kind of figure out what your right call to action might be. You want to track conversions, and then I put this at the bottom, but again, you really do want to blog. It's another way in addition to the video and the picture of you on the website, but I think having a blog is just add some personality to the site. It separates you from the thousands or hundreds of thousands of sites out there where they're pretty much static, forgotten sites. It makes it look current, up to date, and relevant. So those are some of the things I think all of us could do and continue to work on to improve. And one final thought, it really isn't. It's never a one-stop thing. I think we try to, at least on our side, and I'm just sharing our marketing experiences here, but we try to make small improvements to the website, adding new videos, adding better call to actions, giving it small facelifts. But we've never really said we're going to scrap our whole website and start over from scratch, because our experience is that just takes too long. So we've just tried to kind of improve it a little bit over time, keep it current, keep it up to date, and and along the way, that's how we've been handling it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Chad. I mean, there's no magic bullet, and that's one of the toughest lessons I think for a lot of new people in any business, but especially here. And I think Chad's point's well taken. And on the blog, it's the same thing. I mean, I've been blogging for us for 3 years, and sure, there's days I feel like I'm talking to nobody, but I just know, put one out, one a week. Get into that discipline. Don't be a perfectionist about it, because it's a blog. It's not a book. There's no editor. There's no prizes to win. But as you're having thoughts and you're going, this was interesting to me, share it. Jot it down. Get a few paragraphs out. And if you get into that discipline, as Chad said, it's good for your SEO. It's also good for the personality of the site. And over time, people will start to mention, I read that you said this, and you won't even remember, how'd you know I said that? I read your blog. And it just becomes part of your marketing program, and that's how it should be.
Great. Okay, so again, some tools that we have. Definitely, again, consider a link building program. We talked about the email marketing, and then we do have the ability through our web to lead and sales module to track all your leads and your phone calls in HubShout, and just again to share our experiences with it, so take it for whatever it is. We use our tool exclusively for all of our marketing. So we don't have Salesforce or any of the other CRM tools out there, or any of the other email marketing platforms. I mean, our goal really is that if we needed to sell our services, to sell SEO services, then we're going to build it into HubShout, and we're going to use our own tool. And so, again, just to share that with you, there isn't any silver bullet of some tool we're using that's better than anything else. We've tried them all. I've tried them all. But what we've found is that it makes the most sense to build that into our current software, because we feel like if it's something we need to sell our business and to manage our leads, then it's something that you can use and something that your clients can use. And so at the end of the day, it's really all about eating your own dog food, and that's what we do. Okay, so let's talk about some call to actions. Again, what we use is the demo of the dashboard. We basically rely heavily on sort of talking about the software and then the services that go with the software. But really what we're trying to do is use some of the screenshots and the videos to get people to want to be interested to learn more, to walk through a demo, and then we use the demo as a way to explain our services and how they work. And I'm going to go through a very abbreviated demo here in a minute. We don't, we've done a full how to walk through a demo in the past, but I want to talk a little bit about that in a minute here. The other thing that we talk about are example clients. So, all of you guys have the ability to get a demo of a current, you have access to the VetHub's website, which we use as sort of our demo account. So all of you have access to that, and you can all feel free to use the VetHub's data and client to go through and demonstrate that to one of your clients. The other thing is, we have built videos. We are working on some white papers and some case studies that we will have on our website. But I'd say for the most part, of these call to actions that we really rely on, the demo of the dashboard is the biggest one. A couple things we tried and didn't work, and I think these are always just as important as what does work is what we've tried and hasn't worked, and we're definitely not we're not hitting 100% on our things we've tried, but we tried a free 1 month trial, and that really was we thought it would be a good idea to explain how the process worked, but for some reason we consistently set the expectation that people would see page 1 rankings after 1 month, when we do everything we can to to set the expectations that this isn't something that happens in 1 month. So that was sort of a failed attempt at a way to do a demo and a trial. And then we've also tried the online marketing assessment. And again, we just I think this is such a pervasive call to action, and that the value of that to people is diminished. Now, again, you might have a new twist on it, so you might want to. This might be working for you, but we have not had a whole lot of success with it. In terms of tools, we have you all have access into your private labeled portal, which we recommend that you screenshot and put on your website, and that you use as much as possible in all your marketing collateral. Okay, so let me take a minute and just walk through the demo. Just want to walk through what I'm talking about. Yep.
Before you head into that, we have one question pop in real late here. Sorry, the question was, have you really had success with white papers? I read them, but I wouldn't think many customers would.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, we've had success with our clients, especially our B2B software clients, using the white papers. We have not really done them as much for ourselves, and that's what I was kind of saying. We have a couple new white papers coming out where I guess I really can't answer that accurately, other than to say that especially with our B2B software clients and some of the other on the paid search side, a couple of financial planning type clients, that it seems like some sort of information asset is very useful. People are looking for a service, have a tangential that tangentially could lead to them becoming a client for that particular company, and so white paper works there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would ask in response to this question, why wouldn't you want that arrow in your marketing quiver, right? Because we've all searched for white papers at one point or another. This person asked this question has. I know I have. I know Chad has. And usually when there's a very specific business need and you're in the research phase, which usually precedes, and it might be by quite a while, your purchasing decision. But that's a great time to get your brand in front of someone and answer their questions and be informative on a topic that you probably know a lot about. So I can see that the conversion from white paper downloads might be low or extremely long term. But again, when you're looking at your total marketing picture and there's no one magic bullet, why wouldn't you want to throw that in when it is relatively easy, given the knowledge that you probably have about the topic, to write a 2-3 page white paper that's really to the point, informative, and collect that email and then put them into a nurture program. So I'm an advocate for them, even though I think as a standalone they may not produce a lot. They're another important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and one other point there is on the white papers, when we talk about guides, I've seen, again, in some of our paid search, larger B2B clients, that that in some cases white paper, that name is a little tired, but ultimately, as Adam said, people are looking for some sort of guide to help them make a decision or learn more about a certain problem they're having in most cases, looking for ways to solve it either themselves or potentially by buying something, but they're very early in that decision process. So, sometimes even calling something a guide versus a white paper, we've seen performance improvements on the paid search side. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we have another comment coming in while we're talking, saying white papers with good infographics, in their experience, work a whole lot better. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Chad, you probably wouldn't either. Yeah,
no, I agree. Graphics are good. Okay, so let's jump over and spend a minute talking about the demo. And I just want to, again, this is not meant to be the full demo. We have some other recorded webinars on that. But when I do a demo, my real objective here is just to get some chances to talk about two things. One is what we do to make changes and move rankings and increase traffic, and then and then our tool in terms of helping you measure those changes. So I'm going to use the VetHub's example, and basically what we talk about here is is on the Home tab, how this is really a dashboard of your traffic and trends over time, and we can show trends around organic traffic growth and just total traffic growth, source of traffic, and all that information is on your dashboard. So the goal here is to be able to get a glance at, is my traffic moving up or staying the same, and that's part of the objective. And it looks like in June we had for VetHubs a slower month than we had in the previous months, but things that sometimes happens. You have this seasonality. So talk about non-branded traffic. This is always non-branded organic traffic. This is always a good one to say. In search engine optimization, our goal is to improve your rankings on the category terms, not your business terms. So if you're already advertising on television or in the phone book or through direct mail, you likely have people who already know your business's name coming to your website. That's not what search engine optimization is all about. Search engine optimization is about improving your rankings on the category terms so that the traffic will improve, will move, your rankings will move up, and you'll get more impressions, either impressions because you're on the first page, or your listing is higher up on the first page, so that you're getting more clicks. So in the SEO tab, just really fast, what I often do here is use the SEO tab as a way to talk about the process. So what we do is we basically write unique content, which is all recorded here on your target keywords. So that's all the target keywords are listed on this screen, and we have a list here of all of the articles and blogs and blurbs that we've written on that topic. You can even click over and see a list of every one of those. So this is an opportunity to talk about transparency and accountability. So every article that we write for you is right here in the system. You can open it up, review it, look at it whenever you want. It's all right here. So that content, I then usually skip down to the submission screen and talk about how we then take that content and place that content on other websites across the internet that then link back to your website. And the more links to your website, the more each link to your website counts as a vote. So the more votes to your website, the faster, the more authority it has, and the better its chances are of ranking higher up in the search engine results pages. So this shows how many submissions we make on a daily basis, and shows some of the top articles and places that we've posted content. So you can always click through and actually bring up one of those sites and show the site, and even show an example of a anchor link. There's an example of, this is a website where there is a link going to veterinarian websites back to the target URL. So really, I've used the SEO tab in the software to sort of talk about the process. We write unique content. That content is placed on sites across the web, linking back to your website. And then now, it's probably good to jump into workflow and talk about everything we do on your site, we keep track of, and you have a chance to, under the workflow tab, get a status of every link that's been built or activity that's been completed on your account. You can also look for things that are not yet complete, so you have the ability to see, what's not yet finished or what are we working on currently. So the process of writing unique content and then linking that content back to your website, in addition to some SEO to the SEO, so what we do is we actually also build links to those articles we place, because that helps improve their authority a little bit, and that over time, building those links and improving increasing the authority of that content with links to your website moves the rankings up. So then I come back to the rankings tab and say, all the while we have the ability here to track not only where your website's ranking, but how much traffic you're getting from those specific terms. So here's Vet Websites. It's currently in position 1. I have the ability to click on a graph here and to show. Now this has been in position 1 for a long time, but but show where you're currently ranked in the history of it, and as well as by clicking over on the traffic area, show you how the traffic trends. So if you look at this, you can see that we're getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 visitors a day coming in off of that term. So really that's what I do to talk about the process of SEO, and then really the rest of the data here is we can talk about how this data here, if you want to get into it, is all about then demonstrating what inputs and outputs we're getting. So in addition to the content we're writing, some of the graphs here, for example, link count, show that over time the link count's is going up. And it also shows that according to SEO Moz and MozRank, the MozRank of the site is a 5.8 with a domain authority of 38 out of 100. So these are just some stats that we can use to show that we're tracking and monitoring their SEO campaign.
Yeah, we had a couple questions come in. The first one is back on the submission screen when you were talking about content creation, and the question is this: do you have an average percentage of how many submissions are actually picked up?
I don't know if I have a number. Adam, do you have a number that you can speak to on that?
I have not looked at the numbers recently, but it is something we've studied, and it's a great question. I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit about our general philosophy on content creation, which most of you know from your work with account managers, because we don't spin and we don't scrape and we don't do any of those things that put you into the gray area of SEO, which means that all the content we produce is unique and then needs to be cared for very carefully to make sure it is picked up. That's one of the reasons, which I was just talking about, our SEO to the SEO. We do link build often to places where we've placed links. So we'll do a big content placement, a 300 or 400 word article or blog post with a good solid link to the client, and then we'll use a social bookmark or two to that post strictly for the purpose of making sure it gets picked up. So when we've done studies, we've been able to see a very high percentage of our content being indexed for both reasons. Its uniqueness, which helps, because Google will look at a piece of content, and if it believes it's been scraped or somehow inappropriately repurposed, it will often pass on it. Not always, because we've seen some cases where it's fooled. But secondarily, if there are any inbound links to it, that gives it the push, or sometimes we call it teasing it out, particularly on some of the sites that we may post to that aren't as strong as others, because not all sites are made equal. By throwing a couple links at it, it will tease it out. So I don't have an exact number for you today, but I'd like to think it's north of 80%. And when we studied it, it has been, and that's again because of our philosophy here. Another question for you, Chad. What constitutes non-organic visits? This goes back to one of the graphs you were showing through here.
Yeah, well, I'll just jump over to the admin screen. So you have the ability to configure that, and on the advanced tab under your admin section, there is the ability to put in what constitutes a branded keyword. And the way I usually get this is if you just hook up Google Analytics, sometimes there's not enough history, but in this case there's quite a bit of history. So what I do is usually go over to the SEO tab, and under traffic, what I'll do is I'll look down this list for terms that are my brand terms. So in this case, there's probably not going to be that many. Yeah, so Vet Hubs is here, but I could look for maybe hubs, anything with hubs in it, hub. So there's only one term that has hub. But usually the pattern that emerges is that there's some part of a client's name that's pretty unique, whether if it's a name of a person, then that's usually part of the brand, or in our case, Hub Shout, Hub or Shout probably is going to be somebody who's heard of us if they might be searching for the slightly wrong version of that. So what I do is, and in some cases clients maybe 2 or 3 words. So we have one client that we have actually several clients like this where people slightly misspell names or have a couple different names they call them by. You can actually, under the admin screen there where I'm going to go back to the screen, under the advanced tab, you can actually comma delimit. So if we wanted to make sure we were also afraid people might be referring to us as Hub Shout here or something, or another term, we could actually add commas and put as many branded keywords as you wanted. Then what happens from that, and you can add to this list over time, so if you see one popping up, you're like, oh, that's actually a branded keyword, just go add it to the list. But then what happens is we take this, and then that's how we decide which terms to exclude. So when we were looking at the non-branded organic traffic for Vet Hubs, this did not include in the last 30 days at least, that number was, I think, 2 people visited the site by searching for Vet Hubs. So the number down here would not include those 2 visits.
Cool. And another one for you, Chad, that's come in. This demo is a powerful tool. I would like to use it, but I would much prefer the demo was branded as my company. Is there any way for us to use an existing site like Vet Hubs as a demo, but in a portal with our logo and colors?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd have to think about that. I think I know who asked that question, and we were trying to think about what we could do. I don't have an answer on it immediately. I think one idea is if there was a way we could put a different static image around the player, and then zoom the player.
I just interrupt you. I don't think they're talking about this recording of the webinar. I think they're just talking about using this as a demo tool. So I'm suspecting this is someone who's not totally on board with a private label portal yet.
Oh,
I think.
Okay.
So the answer to that is absolutely yes. When you sign up to our reseller program, the very first thing the account manager is going to do is set up your CNAME and your logo and get your portal, and you can access Vet Hubs through your portal. So everything that Chad has done here, showing you how to sell, you can reproduce minus the Hub Shout under your own logo. So I mean that's really the whole vision of why we built this. We're able to give away our branding and let you run with it, and that because your success is our success. So that's exactly what it's for. And Chad's demoing it if you want to talk about it a little bit. Yeah, and the person's piping in. Yes, perfect. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. So okay. Well, then I made the question more complicated than it was. But yeah, no. This is a perfect example. All of you should have the ability to log into, and if you don't, talk to your account manager. But you should have the ability to log in through your portal to Vet Hubs and demo this. And then obviously over time, I know some people that are in these niches and they're doing just car dealer SEO. What the heck? Why would they be talking about a veterinary website company? I get that. That's hard, but we only can do so much. So in between, you have to. I think you ideally until you get a couple of clients in. I think the best bet is to use Vet Hubs as an example, and then we're constantly watching this account, and it's a good one to use.
Yeah, we've got a second person chiming in. Yes, I understand about my portal, but is there a set of demo data in my portal? So we'll try to be perfectly clear. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. This Vet Hubs account we've made universally available no matter what portal you're logging into, specifically so you have something to show, particularly for the little guys who don't have clients and don't have much under their belt and need that first piece of data to show credibility. If you have any issues with that or need help on how to present it, that's what your account manager is for, to help coach you and get you ready to start making some sales.
And just to be really clear, the way you get to that, I don't have the password right off the top of my head, but the way you get to it is you ask your account manager. They're going to give you a username that's universal and a password that you're going to log in through your portal that will be set up to access the VetHub's account. So that's how you get into the demo. Again, just ping your account manager. They should be able to get that information for you.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I think I went through the SEO part. There's a lot more to the demo. We've spent a whole hour on the demo before, but I'm going to, really I walk through each of the tabs talking about SEO, pay-per-click, email, sales. Really the goal is just to say, wow, you guys have it all. And I could see, I'm interested in SEO, but we definitely aren't doing it with email. We need to be doing something. And you can always say, look, this isn't something you have to do on day one. We may want to start with the SEO, but believe me, when we start getting some leads coming in, we're going to want to do something with email and nurture those leads, or we might want to augment the SEO with some pay-per-click or vice versa. So it's really the idea is that you're demonstrating down in the silo of what they maybe called you for SEO, but you also are showing some breadth here that, hey, look, we're not just a one-trick pony. We're not going to just do one thing, that's all we do. We have other services and solutions that can help you beyond the one service you maybe called us about. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to my presentation then. Oops. Okay, to talk about the proposal. So now, just to recap where we are, we went through all that process to get a lead, and now they've actually read the website, they've seen the demo, and they're impressed. So what we generally say is that each of the proposals we put out typically gives them one or two options on pricing. There's some people that believe you should have three, and people benchmark up the high and pick the middle. I think generally in the SEO industry, my experience has been that people are pretty confused anyway. So when you start throwing too many prices in front of them, it's easy to tune out. So we usually give one or two options on pricing, and we basically, we typically say, look, here's like one option, which is this is what you're going to be competing with the big guys in your space for this price, right? So this is especially true in national SEO. A lot of times people come with very competitive keywords. This is what, to compete with the big boys, this is what you're going to need to spend on SEO. And then there's maybe something where it's like, if you want to scale back to a more regional effort or maybe some of the longer tail keywords, here's another option that's a little bit closer in. And, everyone I think has philosophies on how to present prices to people, and how do you have the high price and the low price, and is there a middle tier or not? But that's typically what we do. We have stock proposals that you can use, and I'm going to walk through one in a minute here, right now actually. But generally, just the components I recommend are, some general overview of our process, our platform, giving sort of a custom introduction and defining the opportunity, because everyone wants to know that you understand what they need, so they likely talk to you on the phone, you've gone through the demo, you've collected some information. So putting a nice write-up of that together and saying, here's what you said you need, here's how SEO fits for that, or here's how pay-per-click or email or whatever the service you're selling fits for that, and here's then what our solution is to make it happen. Do some basic keyword research. This one's always tricky because sometimes you don't have a whole lot of information to go on, but it usually shows that you've done a little homework to figure out what are the really hard words, what are some good words. And the other thing I've seen happen a bit with this is that people will sometimes see some keywords and search volume by and say, ooh, that's really good, I'm interested in that, let's move forward. So they get excited about it. And then obviously pricing. So here's our proposal. Again, these are all available to you. Talk to your account manager. This is our generic $199 SEO templated proposal. I put braces around anything where you guys can fill your name in, so I don't want to have someone forget and not remove our name. But I give an overview of the company. So I, again, recommend putting an explanation of your business and the principles. I have this is our example. So this is maybe what we've put into our proposals, but you feel free to obviously update this as needed. Include some corporate bios. opportunity overview, again, I just mentioned this, but here's an example of some basic keyword research that I pulled from Matt, one of our account managers, proposals. And so he's gone through, and this is a client that was looking at maybe doing something in the food safety space. And so he put together 10 or 15 keywords here, figured out how competitive those keywords were, and also how many exact match monthly searches there were. So that's what's here, and that gives them kind of a range of, we can then use that to fit that into the right plan and say that, hey, food safety test is for the competition, not a lot of monthly searches. So it gives you a way of kind of giving some options and then focusing and saying, of this list of 10, I think we should focus on these 4 or these 3. I also then go through and walk through that process overview. So in the demo, I talked about our process of unique content and building links to those links, and those links ultimately are votes, and they move you up in the search rankings. I write that down again in here just so people remember. Well, I don't remember exactly what they were doing for this money. Here it is. We write articles. We build links. We build links to those links, and over time, everything's available through our dashboard, which leads us right into then making sure we get some screenshots in here. I think I've said this before. It's really important, in my opinion, that you want to connect your proposal, because they may have 2 or 3 proposals, but connect your proposal back to the dashboard, because hopefully in that when you did the demo, they got excited, and now they see the dashboard and the proposal again, and that connects them back. Like, oh yeah, that was that guy that really, or that woman that really knew. I really like their dashboard, and I think that could be something we could really grow with. So get some shots of the dashboard in there. And then the last little...
Chad, if I could just punctuate that point too, if there are people, particularly new to our program, who are hesitant to demo the dashboard for the sales process because you feel you're not trained and you're not there yet, I really encourage you to take it on, because we just hear time and time again that this piece of software closed the deal. It's as Chad said, it helps you walk through the process, but it substantiates it all because it's in the software. It's so transparent, and that's just something that in this industry we feel is missing, and we hear from the customers this is really what does it. So if you're all on the edge about that, I'm really cheerleading for you to get on the phone with your account manager here and do some mock sessions and work with them and just get ready to do it, because you're going to make more money if you do that. We've seen it over and over and over again.
Okay, and then the last little bit here, I get into sort of our recommendation of what an engagement's going to be. We're going to pick keywords at the beginning. We're going to give you an on-site recommendation report, and then we're going to get into the link building. And again, I go through kind of just recapping what specifically we're going to do, and then include the costs. So we have the reporting is included, how many targeted keywords, and then how many links and whatnot we're building on a monthly basis. So that is, at least for us, the sort of a typical proposal. Now, what we might do here is, this is just for SEO, but if someone was also interested in local map optimization or wanted paid search or some other service, we would just sort of build up that proposal and then copy and paste into the proposal those different services. Obviously include that in the opportunity, but that's how we're doing proposals. When people ask, when we're doing any sort of direct proposal. I know Matt and Amanda do in some cases provide some keyword research. Our general approach is that we want to train you how to do the research, but we'll help you get through the first couple. So, again, if you're struggling on how do I pick keywords, talk to your account manager. They can walk you through it. But just, again, we want to be clear. Our goal is to get you trained so that you know how to do it yourself, and you're not you're not having to come to us every time for every proposal, because our experience sometimes is that you write a lot of proposals and none of them come through. At some point we have to be focused on helping you on the ones that really are going to you really need help with. So that is the proposal. And let me go back to Adam while I'm going back to the presentation.
While you're doing that, Chad,
yeah.
There was a question here. Yeah, the question came in and said, do we have access to these proposals that you're showing us here?
Yeah, again, talk to your account manager. They have access to these, and they can share them with you either as a Word document or as a Google Doc. And we've intentionally left them sort of generically branded with call outs of where you need to add your information just to make it easy for you.
Yes, similar to the demo account of BetHubs in your portal, these proposals are specifically built to help you sell. So these are part of the resource tool set that we've got for resellers. If you don't have them, call your account manager. If you don't know who your account manager is, it's been a while and you're just rejoining us, just call the 888 number and we'll hook you up. You should have these tools to help you sell.
Okay, so again, we've got the proposal out now, and this is really the critical time because I know in my own personal experience as well as in business experience, it's easy to write a proposal sometimes, but then that's really where the rubber meets the road. Now it's time to follow up and then close the sale. So we use our system again for all of that. Every lead that comes in has follow-up task notes, and we make notes of all the contacts we have with our clients. I just have a screenshot here on the screen of an example of that. We even include email correspondence so that we can, at any moment's notice, especially when you're busy with lots of leads, you can actually go to that client's account, open up the record, and find the person you're looking for, and remember, what the last status was on that particular client. So if you're big enough to have multiple people, definitely have a weekly sales call where you talk about your hot prospects and what needs to happen to close. And again, this is all sort of sales 101, but as Adam said earlier, it's easy to do it one time or two times, but if you don't get in that routine, then it's very easy to let this kind of stuff slip by the wayside and not be focused on it. Okay. The final one, the actual close. So two things really on this, and this is something that I know a lot of us we harp and talk about it quite a bit. Get your clients to sign some sort of contract. We highly recommend having someone draft up a standard services contract. It does two things. It protects you, it protects the client, it protects really everybody, and it clearly explains what the relationship is. And we have this with termination is one of the ones that we run into quite often. We have a 30-day termination notice, which is very common in any sort of services arrangement. And what we would strongly recommend is that you have a 30-day termination with your client as well. So if they call you and say, hey, I want to terminate, then at that point you can turn around and say, great, well, we agreed to a 30-day termination, and I'm going to pass the 30-day termination on to my my partner here, and then everything works. It also covers you if there's payments and questions around how much you're paying, when they're paying, how they're paying. So again, I could go on and on, but get them to sign something, preferably a contract that you've had someone draft up for you. And again, clearly lay out payment terms and expectations. So that's, I think, the 1 hour version of how to sell SEO. Adam, do we have any questions that have come in here at the end?
No, the board's clear.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. And I wanted just to remind everyone that we do have another webinar coming up in a couple weeks. You should be getting some emails on that in the next, starting probably next week. And we're really excited to be talking about our latest and greatest new feature, which a lot of you have talked about, but we have completely revamped the email module and the email service on the platform, both from a deliverability standpoint, who we're using, as well as template management. So you can get a sneak peek of some of the stuff. Adam, I think, has been writing some blog posts on the rationale behind it and what we've done. So take a look at those, and we're going to be really excited to share that with you 2 weeks from now. And I should also say, for those of you who have asked it also has the unsubscribe, automated unsubscribe in there as well. So we're pretty excited about what we've built. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. I appreciate your attendance, and hope, as always, this was really useful. We'll talk to you soon.